are you?
I am so well, Marcie. Great to see you.
You too. So, everyone, I am interviewing Jennifer Saltzman again. She is a certified health coach, and I had kind of polled the group on what you all wanted to learn more about, and the topic was women's health. So we're going to dive more into, women's health, perimenopause, menopause, and just overall things that drive us women crazy a little bit. So again, I have Jen on the call. She's awesome. We interviewed each other. I interviewed her once before. She's a phenomenal health coach. And so jumping right into some questions for some of the things that you all wanted some feedback on, which is, how do we just stop heavy bleeding and those blood clots during our periods?
Awesome. So the doctor that I have studied with and that you and I both are very benefited very much in our own health from working with, it believes that when a woman experiences heavy bleeding like that, it's really due to a major deficiency in minerals. And our minerals are kind of the lifeblood of our being, and they're so depleted from our food sources, particularly elemental minerals of bioavailable elemental minerals are really, really important. And I have kind of scoured the market looking for a good complex. I have yet to find one as good as Dr. Wallach's particular formula because it's so bioavailable. So for instance, I used to have really bad PMS and things like that. And since I've been on the program, probably about 2 years into it, I didn't even know when I was getting my period anymore. So heavy bleeding, painful bleeding, like particularly if somebody experiences cramping, like at other times in the month, like going to sleep with Charlie horses, things like that, is a kind of a second confirmation there's a major deficiency in minerals. So that's the number one thing in terms of heavy bleeding.
Right. And I love that story because I'm the exact same way. Before getting on, definitely grew up with painful periods. And I told my friend the other day, I don't even realize that it's coming. I don't have any issues. I have some breakouts, but for the most part, no issues. So I definitely recommend the protocol as well. Just filling your body with nutrients is
totally. Yeah. The only way I know I'm getting my period is because I still do crave chocolate. That's the only way I know. I'm thinking, what's going on here? And then I'm like, oh yeah,
Me too. Exactly.
It's great.
All right. Yep. So another question that came in was regarding, gaining weight during ovulation periods. And I can kind of chime in on that first. Whenever you're on your period, bloating is kind of a natural thing. It's kind of that how your body is internally changing. And so there's not a ton you can do about it, but Jennifer might have some more feedback regarding that area.
Yeah. So, sometimes during the menstrual cycle, women's digestion gets a little off. People get a little nauseous or their bowels get backed up or something like that. So, again, being on all of what Dr. Wallach says we need every day, right? So 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, and 3 essential fatty acids. That is a general way to keep your overall health great. And we find that therefore periods are easier. Okay. So that's the general overview. But the other thing is to make sure that your digestion is really working, because if you're getting bloated and stuff around that time, oftentimes we need to have a look at what's going on through the rest of the month with one's digestion and eliminate. Of course, we have a very strategic way to upregulate digestion by the elimination of 12 inflammatory foods and things that are known to cause damage to the gut and extra gas and bloating and things like that. So between eliminating those 12 inflammatory foods, being on the 90 essential nutrients, there isn't really an extra thing that one would do at the time or anything. It's just making sure you're not constipated is a big deal. Like if you tend toward that, then maybe taking extra of the multi-mineral complex right before one cycle, we often will recommend that. It's a really good strategy. But those are the two main things, is to look at the diet and make sure you're not, sometimes adding in a digestive support product throughout the month, that would be life-changing for somebody anyway who's bloated, right, regularly.
So right, absolutely. And same thing, with those consistent painful periods and heavy bleeding is the omegas as well, and upregulation in those.
Right. So in terms of hormone balance in general, so the minerals are super important, but if women, for instance, are on a low-fat diet or they're not consuming enough fat, the essential fatty acids or the omegas, right, same thing. That's part of what Dr. Wallach says is the basic 90 essential nutrients. And essential, just to define that, means we can't produce it in our body. So that means we have to ingest it. And not everybody is eating enough, salmon and flaxseed. You can't eat enough generally to get enough omegas. And hormones are so incredibly dependent on healthy fat that supplementing with even extra omegas is another part of a woman who might be having a lot of, hormonal issues, and that'll also show up oftentimes in skin issues, really dry skin, cracked heels. Those are the two main things that are an indicator. That's kind of a confirmation. So what I love about what we do, Marcie, and I know you've done this with your clients, is that we give them this health evaluation, right? This free health evaluation to see the areas of efficiency. And what's so cool is that we can kind of get some confirmations about why a person might need to do a little bit of extra of this. So more bang for their buck, right? When we see multiple things going on in deficiency categories.
Absolutely. And I can attest a testimony for the clients under me, just, retaking that evaluation in 30 days, 60 days. I mean, you're just checking stuff off the list of, nope, I don't have that problem anymore. So it's really amazing to see that as well.
Yeah, it's a fantastic tool. What it does is it's encouraging for the person who retakes it, because sometimes when people start any kind of a program, with exercise program, if they're like, I didn't lose weight, or I didn't, there's certain markers people are looking for. And maybe they're not going to lose pounds, maybe they're going to lose inches. So I'm sure you encourage people to check different things, and that's where this health evaluation, it gives amazing, it gives us some behind the scenes to be able to help people better. But then it's such a great tracking tool, and people are so encouraged,
Absolutely.
that they can get the help, and they don't have to take a drug or be on, some, bioidentical even hormone support, because we've been able to help people totally naturally without any additional, topical creams. I mean, sometimes people have to do that, but I've had so many clients, women that have been, gone through hot flashes and things like that, that are very well helped by. And I'll let you get to whatever other questions, and I'll talk about, there's one more layer of support that we look at. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So you kind of mentioned hot flashes, which is where I wanted to go to next. People as young as me going into possibly perimenopause, and other people. Can you share some tips on maybe how to handle perimenopause? Because a lot of those symptoms we've just discussed in terms of the periods, that's kind of one sign regarding the heavy bleeding. So we've already discussed that, but is there anything else you can share?
Yeah, so, just to reiterate, sometimes, we want to categorize things as what to do for this, what to do for that. But just to reiterate that, overall, the hormonal health is supported with the 90 essential nutrients. I talked about the breakdown of vitamins, but minerals are super important, the extra essential fatty acids. But then when we get to going into a change of life, let's call it, or a time when things are really shifting, doing a little bit of, and we try to do this as naturally as possible. So, and all of the substances, we have a couple different choices, but they are all going to be naturally occurring herbs, vitamins, particular amino acids, whatever, that support the optimization of hormone balance. So we may add on something, a women's hormonal balancing product. And like I said, we have 3 or 4 versions. And so what I like to do is just interview women and talk a little bit about, like, do they know if there are certain dominances on, maybe they've had some hormone testing done, things like that. And the one that I use the most commonly works across the board for the most number of people. But then there's a second one that I'll use if somebody, gives me certain feedback or whatever. So just adding in a little bit of support on that level has helped with hot flashes, mood swings, even like vaginal dryness. I mean, so things that are definitely in the category of hormonal dysregulation seem to come into nice balance with, and sometimes we have to fine tune a little bit, do a little of this and a little of that, but it's just a kind of a very graceful process. The one other thing I'd love to share with your audience is that one thing that people can do with their diet is, again, getting away from the inflammatory foods. And those are a lot of the grains. Of course, we were very, very intentional about being gluten-free. That's a big one. But one of the things people can add in to support overall hormone health, this is true for men as well as women, is eggs. The egg yolk itself has the best form of what we need in a healthy form of cholesterol to support optimal hormone function. So, and even going on a higher fat diet can support hormone balance and hormone. It's like sometimes our hormones are starving for those things. So that's one thing people can do with their diet, is to up the fat. And when I'm talking about fat, it's not like no oil or mayonnaise, but it's, like healthy dairy fat, egg yolk, salmon, avocados, walnuts, those kind of healthy fats in the diet. can
Yeah,
make it.
that's an awesome tip. And to
That's a good tip.
reiterate again is the quality of the supplements that you're taking. So I know a lot of people get frustrated because they've had menopause, they've tried products that don't work, but you should really, give the women's hormonal balance that Jennifer's speaking of a chance, because it might also, really help
Right.
what you may be going through, for sure.
Exactly. Yep.
All right. So one last big question that a lot of people have come to me is regarding brain fog. People are clogged up, they're drinking coffee, they're not getting enough sleep, they're kind of out of whack. So what type of advice do we have for brain fog?
So there's a couple foundational things around people who suffer from brain fog. I mean, if you're not getting enough sleep, unfortunately, we can't out supplement, enough sleep. We can't out supplement a bad diet, things like that. So really figuring out how to get the sleep under control. That's a big deal. And we can talk about that on another. There's a lot of things that we as coaches can do to help people regulate their sleep, like huge amounts of things, in order of foundational, right? Always with the foundation first. But the thing that is probably the most common thing that I find with regards to brain fog has to do with gut health. So the gut brain axis is a big deal. So if someone is backed up and not moving their bowels regularly, for instance, it creates toxicity in the body, and suddenly it's like they say we have a second brain in our gut. And so getting the bowels on track, getting the digestive tract on track is probably the best bang for anybody's buck in terms of brain fog. That's my honest estimation, not only for my clients, but for myself, because sometimes that's been kind of an area where I've had to do a little extra work, and it's kind of night and day.
Yeah, no, I agree absolutely, because that was one of the things where I was looking for a supplement company, which is how I kind of found, working with you regarding supplements. Brain fog was one of my top 5 things. Is like, Jennifer, I need help getting rid of this, help. And so definitely being on the 90 essential nutrients, as well as cleaning up my diet. You all know who follow me. I preach our gut health all the time. You gotta always perfect it. You always have to take care of it. Like she said, it's like the second brain. So you really have to focus on that. So that's a great feedback as well.
So that's probably and the rewards are so fantastic. I mean, not just in terms of brain fog, but really your overall energy, the way that you feel like working out or not, your menstrual cycles. I mean, so many things.
Yeah, your skin too. Yeah, absolutely. Right? All right. And so Jennifer does have one last event that we're going to invite several of you to, or lots of you to. So it's a women's health event. So Jen, you want to speak more on that?
Yep. So on July 8th at 7 p.m. Eastern, which is 4 o'clock Pacific time, online on Zoom, we have a phenomenal women's empowerment and health event. And this is a monthly event that we do together with a lot of other, like-minded women. But this particular one is really open to guests. And we're going to have a lot of great guest speakers on women's health, on more stuff about hormones. They always give away amazing, generous prizes on these calls. It's awesome. But really the wonderful, lovely thing that I've gleaned from these calls so far is just this incredible sense of community and the desire for all the women to really have everybody's best interest at hand. So we want to see Marcie, we want to see everybody that comes, and there's a lot of support, right? To be the best version of people's selves. There's always great teaching, great encouragement, great prizes, and great information about our health. So I'd love to invite, we're going to paste a social square, a little blurb on it down below. And people can get back with you and confirm with you, because we are actually asked as coaches and people who are involved to only have 5 confirmed people to come. We each have like a space for 5. So if you can get people to respond, hey, I am committing to come, that would be helpful, so that if you have room to invite more. So it's going to be a phenomenal event. It's only an hour. It's super, but it's going to be wonderfully inspiring. They always are. I was in tears from the last one, like so inspired. I was in tears twice. So it makes you leave there feeling like, okay, I'm not alone. There's other like-minded people that are, struggling through with their families and their busy lives. This is awesome. So, but this one's specifically on health. So very cool.
Great. Awesome. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So that does wrap up our chat. So thank you, Jennifer, so much for shedding your light and your guidance on just women's health. So hopefully you all were able to learn from that. Links below, as we mentioned, to connect with me. I would love to connect with you regarding a wellness evaluation. That's also the link in my Instagram bio as well, and on my website, so that we can connect. I would love to kickstart your journey for fitness, for health, and for women's health. So once again, thank you, Jennifer, and have an awesome day.
Thanks so much, Marcie. Really appreciate it.
And now my friends can answer, I found you.